Hi, it's Trait Maniac. Again, out here to take a few more minutes of your time on another one of my rants about Asperger syndrome. But I think this one is more important than many of the others that I have done, and many of the others that I will do, unless somebody stops me. Okay. This addresses one of the common misconceptions about Asperger syndrome. Namely, people say, I have Asperger syndrome, therefore I am socially awkward. I'm going to talk about, first, why that shouldn't make any sense at all, and then discuss why it sort of makes sense, but isn't really true, and then what you can do about it. So the obvious, or perhaps not so obvious, but fairly straightforward line of logic that completely disproves that is that Asperger syndrome affects the way you perceive the world, and social awkwardness is entirely based on the things that one says or does. Asperger syndrome has no effect upon one's ability to say anything if they want to, and it has no effect upon one's ability to do anything, barring extreme cases such in terms of speech. Like, it doesn't, or barring stuff like tongue twisters or the sorts of physical exertions that you'd only be expected to do in a sports situation. In terms of everyday life, you can say whatever it is that you would normally want to say and do whatever it is that you normally want to do. So why is it that you have so many, there's like a lot of people with Asperger syndrome being socially awkward? Well, the issue obviously does not lie in the ability to actually say or do whatever you need to say or do. That we've just disproven. So the problem is that there's something that you're supposed to say, or not say, or do, or not do. Why aren't you saying what you're supposed to say, or doing what you're supposed to do? Why? Because you don't know that that's what you're supposed to say or do. It's not an issue of being incapable of doing something. It's an issue of not knowing that you're supposed to do something, or say something. However, you look at many of us, many Aspies, it's not as if we have any trouble knowing things. We've got some pretty bright minds amongst us. So, what's the connection there? How does Asperger syndrome affect our ability to know these things? We have a hard time knowing anything that is never explicitly stated to us. So now here comes the solution for social awkwardness that takes a good year or two to really get going, but if you think about that, it means you can change your social life completely in a year or two, which is not bad at all. What do? You need to make sure that when you mess up socially, you know about it. You know what you did. You have to make sure to know what you do or say that people have a problem with. And you don't have to change everything, but you should know that if you don't, going to be a bit of a problem for you socially, although it may be more of an inconvenience to try to work on changing some things, but at least then you'll have the option and have the control over how much you want to go. You won't be trapped by this condition. So, living in the United States, this is rather difficult because we seem to believe in the United States that when someone messes up, it is the respectful thing to do to not say it to their face. Instead, talk about it behind their back and give them absolutely no way of knowing why you never speak to them again and why you dislike them so much. So, I'd say my number one tip on how to get people to tell you when you're doing something that they don't like is to mention that you have Asperger syndrome. Mention that it affects your ability to know things that aren't specifically stated to you. So, if people want you to stop doing whatever you're doing that's bothering them, they should tell you. Now, if you tell this to people, if they're people you actually know, 5 to 10% might listen, and that's fine, because if you do something in front of a number of people, or enough times, someone's going to tell you. You only need to be told once in order to know that what you're doing is a problem. So, if you're feeling socially lost and you really feel that you need to turn your social life around, I recommend at least giving this a try. I thank you for your time.